Hi guys, so I'm just creating a quick video to sort of help members out so they can become self-sufficient in determining the slopes for themselves and not rely on anyone, any of the members, rely on Eric and have the confidence that the slopes are good and they're doing it well. Now I just want to say before going any further that my way of sort of determining the slopes, it has been a long process of reverse engineering kind of how Eric does his slopes. So, and I want to add that it's, I may have made mistakes in understanding the process. Maybe it's far off from the process, but I believe it's close to how Eric creates his slopes for the lines or comes up with the slopes. And I don't want to just say, this is how Eric does it, because if I get anything wrong, it's not fair on Eric. He didn't specifically teach me this method, so it's trial and error, working things out. I'm a software engineer by trade, and I'm logically minded. So I've wrote scripts, I've plugged things into my trading software, my custom trading software, in sort of reverse engineering this and coming up with the best method. I thought I'd put it out there, and if it helps people, great. And I mentioned it in this chat during the live stream because Casual here, he, he's asking Eric. My line's a bit thick. Let me see if I can come up with a thinner line. Yeah, I'm used to this. Not used to this. There we go. So yeah, he's asking for understanding on how Eric has charted the teal. Eric is leaving us in suspense. He's mentioned this before in a video, that he's leaving us in suspense on how he comes up with the slopes for the lines, and it's going to come later in the training. So I didn't want to just come in and create a video and step on any toes. I wanted to give Eric the opportunity to veto it. So in response to this guy, trying to make him aware that, I plan to do this if it's okay with Eric, and give Eric the opportunity to veto it at the same time. So during the live stream, Eric said he wouldn't veto it, go ahead, but he wants me to make it clear, which, I plan on doing anyway, that Eric hasn't taught this. Learning from Eric, it's got no backing by Eric. So it's my own stuff based on how I believe Eric achieves his slopes. So, seeing as though Eric's given the green light, I'm going to go ahead and make the video. But before I do that, I just want to talk about, some people who, not so great team players. Maybe it's the same person, I don't know, but it's either one or two people. And so when Eric started talking about my comment in the chat, he was...
I doubt it, but you can do whatever you want, right? Just don't say that it's from me. I will never veto something. I will never endorse something or veto something. But to say that you have worked out, I don't think so, sir.
He was very respectful. He didn't take an issue with it. And for some reason, we've got this guy here, like Happy Hound Club. I don't know who he's in the Discord. Being like UK Jump, UK Chimp, trying to I believe he's trying to get to me. I'm well beyond that. I'm mature in my age. I don't let small-minded people get to me. So, but I just want to raise this because I just want to educate people that there's no need for it. So he's name calling, he's pretending that I've sent him a friend request. I don't know who this guy is. I've sent 3 friend requests in the history of the server, and the 3 people that I've sent the friend request to when I first joined the server, they accepted the friend requests, and I talk to them from time to time, and I know it's not this guy. So I don't know what he's talking about. And is there any need for the name calling and saying stuff like that? Come on, guy, grow up. We're a team here. We're here to learn from each other. I'm not being offensive. I've tried to be respectful. You know, I've called you an idiot here because from time to time people need to know they're an idiot. So, you know, stop being an idiot. In fact, before we move on, I'll get to the next comment because I don't know if it's from this guy or if it's from somebody else. So let me just scroll down. It's this Dan dude. I don't recognise him either, so maybe it's the same person. So here's his comment. He's like, dude, what you're trying to achieve? You know, all I'm trying to achieve is to pass on the help that I've received from other members since joining. Many members, probably more than I can name here, have helped me out in the trading questions, in the Share Your Trades. And I appreciate that, and I just like to help other people, you know, create a little video here and there, answer some people's questions. I'm typically very active in the trading questions channel, even though now it's sort of been, what's the word? It's out of action, out of use. It's, yeah, you get what I'm saying. We can't comment in there anymore. But before that happened, I was active in there fairly often, trying to help people where I can. If somebody asked a question that I didn't know the answer to, I'd stay out of it, or maybe give some suggestions of where, you know, some ideas that I might have. But, you know, I don't know. I'm not some amazing trader. I'm doing okay for myself, but, you know, I'm far from an amazing trader. I'm nowhere near the same level as Eric. I don't pretend to be, but Eric talks about his ladder of learning all of the time, as I mentioned here. And thank you guys for the support and that, and the private messages that I've received in relation to these, you know, these negative people. And obviously, when he realised some people calling him a clown and getting some support and stuff like that, he wanted to be friends and stuff. I mean, I don't hate anybody, but I've got no time for people who want to cause a problem, cause an issue out of nothing. But yeah, going back to the ladder of learning thing that Eric talks about all of the time, you know, let me just draw that out. There's many levels on a ladder, as Eric sort of draws it. And you get the new people sort of here. You get some members at different stages on the way up. And you get maybe Eric somewhere near the top here. So that's Eric. Sorry for my terrible writing, sorry. And then maybe, you know, I don't pretend to be anywhere near here. I don't even pretend to be anywhere near here. I'm probably somewhere down here. And what Eric says is, you know, people, as they come in, learn from the person above. And it keeps going like that. And maybe I'll like someone here has got something to teach down here. So it's not one level to one level. Or maybe someone from down here has something to teach that this person, you know, sort of missed out on. And it's this ladder of learning where we help each other out. We're a community. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to achieve, to be a part of, to give back, to keep on learning myself, to help other people learning. And that's all what it's all about. So if you've got anything negative to say, please just keep it to yourself. You know, there's people that might not such thick skin like I do. You know, I've been in the forces. You know, it's the banter in there can be quite rough, and if you don't have a thick hide, it's you'll soon learn it. You'll soon grow one. So yeah, thankfully I've grown one over the years. Stuff like this doesn't bother me. So with that being said, I'll pick up the recording in pre-market. Maybe not tomorrow, but I'll create this as the preface of the video, and then I'll append the next part of the recording to this video. I'll pick it up. I'll create the lines, the slopes of the lines, and then as the market opens and progresses, and Eric starts creating his slopes, I'll compare my slopes to Eric's slopes. A lot of the time, we have the same slopes, or maybe one line will be different, or Eric will have better lines than me, and I've got them quite not too right, or I'll have better lines than Eric, and Eric's got them quite not right. Or maybe I'll have some lines and Eric will have some lines and they're slightly different, but they're just as good as each other. And I've found the method is a good way of doing it. And you know, it'll help people be self-sufficient in sort of doing it for themselves. You know, let me know what you think. Maybe I've made some mistakes in what I've learned. Sorry, how do I erase this? I've made some mistakes in what I've learned, and someone can put me on the right path. But I suppose I can go over some theory now, and then we can get into the video of creating the slopes, and you guys can let me know what you think. So let's just cover some theory before we pick this recording up one of the market days this week, and sort of do this in real time. So what I'll do is I'll do it during pre-market, come up with the slopes, and then we'll keep the video recording, and as Eric sort of produces his lines, we'll compare them to his lines. You know, quite often there'll be sort of similar slopes. Sometimes his will be better, sometimes mine will be better, but you know, this typically works. And I've had to adjust my line, one of my lines, one time after coming up with the slopes pre-market during the regular session. So yeah, just to cover some theory, here's sort of a diagram that I threw together. Let me get a pen. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a kind of head and shoulders cup and handle sort of duo. It's not letting me draw on the image, so let me just move my mouse and do it that way. So yeah, I create a pink line. I sort of look for either a macro pattern or a micro pattern, or if you can get them together, that's great. I will look for a micro pattern where it might fit below the line, or I will look for a micro pattern where it might fit above the line. You know, I've got another diagram, figure 1.3, that covers that, which is essentially the same thing, but the pattern's moved to above the pink line. And I will capture sort of the left shoulder and the head, or like the first part of the cup, liquidity in Cyan. I will plot Cyan around that liquidity, and pink around sort of the main structure breakout point. And then I will confirm it on maybe some micro continuation or another macro pattern that appears during the non-regular session hours, the pre-market on ES, and then transfer that across to sort of SPY. So I know this is regular session hours, but I'm just going over the theory here, and then we'll pick it up again sort of on the early session on ES, one of the trading days. Okay, pink. This one's quite a clear pink. Sometimes it's not so clear, but I'll go from the left frame. We've got the cup. Let's draw that out. We have the cup, and then we have the handle. Right? Okay. So I've put in the pink there. This one's with a macro pattern and a micro pattern, because we've got the micro inverse head and shoulder pattern there. And this one's on the other side of the line. That one's before. It's the one that's after. And then I will take that line and I will confirm it in other locations. I will go to the highest high of the left side of the pattern, so the left shoulder, and see what we want to see is price sort of pulling back into that line before it takes off. This time it opened directly above and then took off. Perfect. So it's confirmed in two locations. We do have another pattern here. You can sort of try and confirm it again there. You see we've got the left side of the pattern, shoulder. Just draw it out because it's clearer. Shoulder, head. We've got a micro pattern below the line. Shoulder. I've got the magnet on, that's what's wrong. Shoulder, head, and then a shoulder above the line. Okay, so this one didn't work out, but you can see here the pink's resistance becomes support, it breaks out, pulls back into the line. That's where it would take off if it worked it out. Okay, let's move that back down there. Let's move on to Cyan. Put the magnet back on. Go to the head. Try to encapsulate this side of the liquidity as best we can. We've got one connection point where we started. We've got one there. We've got one where the candle sort of opens on the line and then takes off. If price didn't take off, I would have less confidence. So yes, I take the line and fit it to the underside just to see if it fits well. For extra confirmation, I might take the line and sort of fit it into other price action to see if we get the connection points, which we do. Obviously, this is sort of a macro bearish pattern here. It's kind of a cup and the handle, and more often than not, the Cyan will control, you sort of encompass the selling on the bearish patterns as well as the bullish patterns, so that can be extra confirmation. We have on the handle, we have another pattern, not so much a micro but a smaller pattern, and I just try to fit the lines in again. You know, it fits well, so it's a good Cyan. So we get the orange and magenta in the same but opposite way on the bearish structures, and also confirmation on the bullish structures. So if I'm starting on the bullish structure for the orange, what I might do is look for it to, encompass the liquidity, the sort of buy-in, change that to an orange, and then let's see if it fits. So we've kind of got a left shoulder here as well. It's sort of an embedded pattern. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, encompasses like the left shoulder head liquidity. Looks like it does. But we also have other potential slopes. Starting from down here, goes all the way across here. That all encompasses sort of the left side of the liquidity as well. And if there's ever a situation where I'm not too sure, I will just change it to yellow and use yellow as well. But let's put that on the left side, just the same way we've got the Cyan here, on the bottom side and the top side. Bottom side fits well, top side fits well. We've got a touch, we've got a touch, we've got a touch. Let's try this one. See, that fits well as well, although this liquidity is on that side of the line, this liquidity is on this side of the line. But what I might do is make this one yellow, because that looks like it could be a good line, but this one looks to be the orange line. Okay, now for magenta. So I've got the left shoulder, right shoulder. Now with magenta, it's the inverse of pink. So magenta and orange are positive slopes, because this is basically the bears controlling the buy-in to get a higher price, sort of to sell at a higher price before it moves price down to go back into the accumulation phase. So they might be offloading a position, or they might be getting in short or for the move down, a bit of both maybe. And after the move down, that's when they sort of cover and start the accumulation phase again before the move up. You'll see Nano talking about it in chat quite often. If you don't follow Nano, Nano's answers in the trading questions, although I know trading questions is closed off now, but I'm sure Eric will open something else up in the near future. If you don't follow Nano, then I recommend that you do, because I've learned a hell of a lot from this guy. Maybe I'm not drawing this quite right in a second, but Nano sort of draws the kind of accumulation phase going up into the distribution phase, where we might come back down into the accumulation phase, and it just keeps going. Nano can probably do a sort of better drawing, better explanation. I really probably don't do him justice there. So yeah, I completely forget my point. I went off on a tangent then. But hopefully you guys know what I was talking about. So yeah, let's go back to determining magenta. It's the inverse of pink. You know, pink, it's on the upside of the left rim or the left shoulder, and the price retests on the other side. So this would be the right shoulder or the sort of right rim, I guess. Or the right rim might be here, and you know, this is a breakout and retest. So we've got a left shoulder, head, right shoulder. It's the same thing, but in reverse mirror image. We've got the left shoulder liquidity above, right shoulder liquidity below. That one looks like it fits well there. Let's put it on the top. Not so sure about that one. Okay, let's put it into different places. Nope, not sure about that. Nope. Okay, so maybe I've got it wrong there. So let's try again. Let's go to, where are we? Let's try on the macro structure. I've got the magnet on. You see, pet lines aren't always penny perfect, but we've got the left shoulder liquidity above, the right shoulder below. Not quite penny perfect, but almost, yeah. And then I'll take the line and I will try to fit it into other price action. Like, look at this, we've got the touch under the line, the touch above the line, which confirms it as a strong line. So yeah, touch above, touch below, left shoulder, right shoulder. So I'd say that's a good magenta. So one thing to note is orange is always steeper than magenta. Cyan is always steeper than pink. Now, those are the what I like to govern as the control algorithms. I know there can be precision as well, but they are typically the control algorithms where the control price lower if they're bullish, control price higher if they're bearish, and then you get the sort of precision lines, which I determine as they appear during the regular session. So when I've determined my lines, I will take them. Which lines have I highlighted? Magenta, cyan, pink, orange, yellow. Control C for copy. Hang on, I'm already on SPY. Okay, I'll do this on ES, and then I will paste them on SPY typically. Let me just get rid of these lines. I've already copied those, haven't I? And then paste these ones in. I usually do it in reverse. So I'll use ES price action during pre-market to determine the slopes, and then I will copy them across. You see, that's the same structure, but it doesn't quite fit. So it's not perfect, but you can adjust them if you're taking them from ES to SPY. Although a lot of the time they will just work out. Yeah, as I was saying, the precision sort of moves I will determine as they appear as early as possible. So precision moves, obviously consecutive green candles for a bullish precision move, consecutive red candles for a bearish. I'll look for like a blue, which is not quite the steepest, and then possibly a green. So sometimes I get them confused and don't know which one they are, and I'll change them sort of midday, middle of the day. So I've just done that on the underside of the candles, blue, and placing it on the other side of the candles on the wicks. Works out well, so I'd say it's a good line. And then I'll just sort of use that. And then look, we've got a steeper one, so maybe that's the green. Okay. And then I'll use these to sort of control my risk. But that's outside the scope of this video. Although maybe I could quickly cover the theory behind it. So what I'll do is, once I've determined the positioning and I reuse it sort of throughout the day, it may be like there's a breakout of the line before continuation, right? So as a good example. Okay, let's do the green. I think that would be a better example. The green, it's deeper than the blue. You see here we've got the green, I've got the green again. So what I'll do is I will use the green algorithm, and I'm wanting to keep my runner going until sort of price breaks the green, but sometimes it will break the green or the blue even, whichever one you're using, and then it will keep going. And you've just stopped out and left a lot on the table. So what I'll do is, if it's bullish, I will take the magenta and I will fit it to what I deem a good location. Say a low, a nice strong candle, or maybe it will be we've got connection points here as well, which add to the strength of the position of the line. Or maybe it'll be like a couple of candles next to each other. It doesn't have to be that spread out. So yeah, I'd maybe place magenta there. And if price breaks out of the line, obviously this is in hindsight, but this is what I do in real time when these candles aren't developed. Green will break. Okay, yeah, you're giving back sort of this if it doesn't work out, but more often than not, you will benefit from this method, or at least that's in sort of my own experience. And I will risk to the magenta, so it won't just be as soon as it breaks the green, I'm out. It will be, I've got the magenta there, it's in a strong location. You know, if the magenta breaks, I know the move's over. And then as price continues on, I will trail upwards. So it's that strong. We've got a low touching the line there. We've got a high touching the line there. And we've got low touching the line there. And look, we've broken out the green. We've broken the magenta. That would be me out of the trade. But I know we do continue on. Price continues buying. But, you know, I'm risking magenta. You've got to stick to your risk. And then, in this instance, you have a second opportunity to get back in. So even if you do get out, so we've broken the line, we've got out, price comes straight back, we've got the left shoulder, head, and the right shoulder, and you can choose that setup to get back in. And then just do the same thing. Move magenta up to where it makes sense. So we've got touches on the line there, a couple of locations, and also pinks the strong support, because that's one of the buying controls. So it intersects with pink on that the bottom of that candle, a good location. So yeah, though I would never probably give this much back, I would keep trailing it. So, but as this candle sort of creates, that's where it would be. And then as that closes and we push up here and close, I would look for the next location that I can move the line. Maybe it would be here on this high. It sort of comes into the low of that candle, but not quite. So let's move it down a tiny bit, slightly below the wick of that one. Okay, and what we have is, you know, it's not much higher than that one, but at this point, it's when this candle closes, this one's shut up, that's closed. Maybe I'll look to put it on the low of that. Does that line up with anything? Doesn't really. But it comes down to a question of how much are you willing to give back. You know, I'd probably move it up even though it's not got multiple connection points, just because that's a nice sort of strong candle. And if we sort of come back down here, I wouldn't have high hopes of continuation without more liquidity building. I'd look for the next setup once I'm out to get back in. But anyway, that's from there. We're just building the bearish liquidity here, and then we've got the move down. And on the opposite side, I'll use the pink. Same thing, but the pink. Keep bringing it down, and I'll catch a lot of the move doing it this way. So yeah, sorry for the tangent. That's outside the scope of the video, but a member asked me to sort of explain how I've been managing to catch like the full move a lot of the time, and that's how I do it. And if it helps you guys, great. Let's pick this video back up in real time and then do a comparison to Eric's lines as he starts producing his lines during the day, trading day. So it's now pre-market on the 27th of July, 12:51 my time, which is 5 hours ahead of New York. The market opens in 1.5 hours, and I'm probably on a bit early, but this is what I do sometimes is get the potential slopes around this time, and then if I get the opportunity, sort of come back maybe 40 minutes or a little bit longer to just see what structures have developed and to compare those lines against the structures that have developed. So yeah, let's get started. I don't really have too much time today. Okay, here's what I'm seeing. We've got a shoulder, head, and a shoulder. Let's get a line, turn the magnet on. Okay, it's finding a good spot underneath the left shoulder. Kind of there. Let's see. Magenta. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm choosing this high instead of this high. I'm looking at the low of these two candles, which seems to match the slope if I move the line up a bit, which adds further confirmation. And this is just before the rundown, which looks to be a good magenta. Now, in terms of orange, I need to work that one out. Typically start in the same location. Let's give that one a try. Okay, putting it above price action. Sometimes you have to discount the wicks, but I prefer the wick candles to be more reliable than the non-wick candles. Just get rid of these, getting in the way of the reading. No, I don't really like that orange, but there is a wick there and a wick there. See if it's between this wick, where we started from, this wick and this wick. Can't see it, but this wick here on this candle and this wick. Also the low of that one because it's not really wicking out too much. It's not obvious. Potentially a good orange. There is a steeper slope that might be of some use. You can sort of see there. Let's see. High to high, fits on the other side. Okay. Cyan, maybe we run down in Cyan, maybe we don't, but I'll create a Cyan here and I'll look for a long pattern, try to fit it into the long pattern. So here we go, here's a shoulder, head, shoulder. Where can we get? So this is the left shoulder. Now it's an incline slope. That's a negative slope, decline. The pink always has to be a negative slope, Cyan a negative slope, or at least that's the colour scheme that I stick to, which I tried to match to Eric's. You can use any colours you wish. Okay, so now if we take this yellow, put it here, see if it kind of runs up the price action. It doesn't, it sticks well to price action. See what this one's like as an orange on the short pattern. You know, it fits well. We've got this low wick, we've got that low wick, and we've got a high over there. Some days it's clear cut, other days not so much, so that yellow's still good. This one's got more connection points than this orange, and it also runs price up on this side, so I'm liking this one more. Let's just make this one the orange for now and make this one, save this one to the side. Okay, left shoulder and head, we need to encompass that in Cyan and then confirm the pink as well. We have a nice long wick candle there that sort of lines up with price running down. So that's potentially a good Cyan. Fits on the underside on this one. Got these two wicks, we've got this one, so there's like 4 wicks on that one. Let's just check this line out, see how it fits here. I mean, it looks like it kind of works, but it doesn't fit as well as the other one. So I'm going to delete this Cyan, although could possibly keep it and turn it into a yellow for the negative slope for now. Okay, so this looks like the best Cyan. Underneath, joins up this low, this low, this low, this low. It's a good, really good fit, this Cyan, I think. Now, some days with Eric, we will have the exact same slopes to the penny. Some days we will be close, slightly off. Then other days we might have better slopes than each other, or equally as good slopes but different slopes. It's more of an art than an exact science. And I'm looking forward to Eric producing that lesson of exactly how he goes about creating the slopes, to see what context I'm missing. But I think this is, you know, it's something along these lines. In my opinion, my guess, based on the likeness of our lines at times. Eric doesn't seem to think that I've come anywhere close to the way he does it, but he doesn't know how I do it. So if you're watching, Eric, maybe you can let me know. So let's confirm the pink. Where's there another pattern? We've got a micro here. Kind of fits, although it's penny perfect between these two. I'm more likely to be penny perfect from the left side of the pattern, either above the left shoulder liquidity or the left rim. Is there another pattern down here? Yep. That looks quite good. got the pattern, the candle opens at the line, and then we start buying up, although it's not strong buying, it looks to be controlled buying. And what session is that in? That's still today, but it's sort of close to the to midnight. The closer to the open, the more confident I become in the lines. So I have a work meeting sort of in 45 minutes that I need to prepare for, so I'm not sure if I'll get the chance to refine these lines before they open any further, but maybe I can get a quick look in. Got the cup. That fits well with that low. Say it's a strong pink. And look, what was support, sorry, we've got what's resistant becomes support and then becomes resistance again, which would be a good one to trail down as we're in a runner. Let's look at these yellows to see if they're any benefit. Okay, look, we're getting connection points here and here, which is a good sign. And on the underside, and here. So this could be a good slope to have, a good line to have during the day. So let's save that one. This fits on either side. Let's see. Doesn't match the slope on this one. It does kind of, not too greatly. Fits there. Kind of fits there. It's not a great slope, but it kind of fits. Look, we've got a wick on one side, a wick on the other side. Might come in useful. Let's keep it and confirm it during the market hours. This is fitting well. One thing that sort of makes me think this is a similar way to how Eric does it as well. You'll get like 3 candles in the regular session, and then he'll just be like, boom, there's magenta, or boom, there's a pink. And there'll be like one connection point. So at one point I thought he was kind of fitting it into the pre-market candles on SPY, and I did get close to his lines using that, but not as close as doing the ES method where the candles are better defined rather than the pre-market candles. Check magenta out a bit more. How it fits between these lows. The green candle, the red candle. Maybe there could be a better slope that fits between the 2 reds. Let's just park that one. See how this one fits. Oh, that fits quite well actually. Below the left shoulder, we've got the right shoulder that pulls into the line, so we break through the line. We wick above it a bit, but then we've got a nice strong wick into the line and price sells off. See here as well, I've got a wick in and its support on the other side. That one fits well there. What I don't like about this Magenta is if we're using it as a stop on the run up and it's not conforming to the bullish patterns as well as the other one, is we'll get stopped out more easily. Whereas something on a shallower slope will keep us in the trade a bit more and avoid being whipped out as easily. Yeah, I'm liking the other one better. Because although we wick above the line slightly on this one before it sells off, this necessarily wouldn't be the risk, right? We'd be entering at this point and we'd have like some kind of risk behind, whether it be pink or cyan. You see, like if you're here, the cyan risk is probably quite wide. But if you're here, it's obviously a steeper slope on the cyan, so it starts closing in fast. Oh, that fits well. It's on the low, high, high. And it tends to be these situations where I might have Magenta slope, and out of these two, and Eric might have the other one, because they both look to be good. I also try to look at the separation of liquidity, although you could deem this as like one chunk of liquidity on a smaller pattern. This liquidity is slightly separate to that liquidity. So that's why I will go from here instead of down here. I think although this line works better on the long pattern, this one definitely works better in the other price action, but this is getting into yesterday's price action now. So maybe it's a bit of yesterday, sorry, not yesterday. Is it yesterday? What day are we on? Monday, so Friday's price action. So it could be remnants, this slope being a remnant of Friday. Okay, I'll probably keep this Magenta as the spare for now until we've got further price action and see which one fits as price action develops out a little more. So hopefully I can pick up the recording before the open, but if not, I will pick it up, and Eric's got some lines, or is that Eric brings out his lines during the market session, the regular session, assuming he's trading today, and compare these lines to Eric's. I'll not copy them to SPY at the moment because we want price action to develop further to confirm the lines, and then I'll copy them across to SPY and look to confirm them, that the lines as the regular session starts to progress. I may or may not make it at the exact open due to work responsibilities. If not, I should be able to get on a little bit later. Okay, some more candles have developed. Still some price action from before that we didn't touch. If I put you see here, we've got the cup, got the handle. Okay, if we base on the left side of the cup, it sort of runs underneath the price action here, even though it's broken a little bit. Do the same with the other line. You can see it runs directly through the handle, which isn't great. Although this long wick to there looks good. That one doesn't. Either one could work out well. See, that one works well from there to there. Either one could work out well. I'll probably stick with the one we've chosen. Now the the orange line. The dotted one fits in well, which is the one we sort of like the least, and this one almost. Cuts through the candles here a bit, but lines up there, so it's again, it's two good slopes, and either one could work out well. Wick into the line, wick into the line, wick into the line. It's a good one. This one's controlling the price up with a bit more runway. But look, this is it's a long pattern, so we could easily just get back in. Yeah. To disregard the dotted one. Yellow still works, but I don't think it's as good as the orange. Okay, we'll keep it just in case it comes in useful. Dart off in 5 minutes for a meeting, so we'll keep this brief. This yellow looks to be well. Here to here. Whereas the Cyan looks well here to here. Yeah, I think I'll keep the yellow. We'll also keep the Cyan. If we was to move this Cyan, that one becomes Cyan. this is a better fit for the long setup, the last main run that we had. Got a micro setup there, works very well. Breaks out, pulls back into the line, takes off again. So yeah, strong Cyan. Tests well, but we've not really had any setups unless this is forming into one. It just looks like a continuation down, to be fair. Like a left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Okay, I will not have time to check the lens again before the market opens, so I'll take these as the initial lines, dropping them across to SPY, and we will try to confirm them as the market opens, and then compare to the lines that Eric came up with. So the market's opened. Let's bring up Eric's charts. Oh, that Cyan kind of fits in with the pre-market candles as well. Let's put an initial placement, let candles develop. Although that candle seems to be frozen unless it's just not ticking. Been experiencing these issues with Trading View lately. Yeah, the next candle's not even appeared. Let's read. Oh, there we go. Yellow fits kind of well there, but it's not confirmed because it's not exact points. I went straight through Magenta, not confirmed. Wait for price to develop a little bit. See how price reacts to the lines. retract between the two moving averages. Eric's got an orange and he's got a green. His green is somewhat similar to my yellow, but he's taken it from the regular session, as I do with my greens. Where did he have his orange? The low of this candle. And he's got a slightly shallower slope than me on the orange. Let's take you see that's the orange we had. It's those connection points. Connection point, connection point. It's got his Cyans there, which is roughly the same as this Cyan. A little shallower. Look at the pull back into the line. See, that's the Cyan confirmed. Penny perfect. Look at that pull back into the pink there. It is dipping below, but it did stop penny perfect. Cyan's confirmed. I'll duplicate it. Put it on the bottom. Orange is still not confirmed. Look at that for magenta though. Penny perfect. Even if the candle doesn't, even if it creates a new low, it's still giving confirmation mid-candle. There's no other confirmation points at the moment. Quite penny perfect, but still pretty decent. Stronger selling coming in. You can see here, Magenta has just been confirmed real nice with the long wicks. I'd say it's a little better than Eric's Magenta at the moment. So yeah, look at his orange. Looks to work out well. Magenta not so much. Magenta works out well. Orange kind of look. Still a decent orange, but does it fit there? Yes, it does. So yeah, that orange is quite decent as well. This setting up a possibly. Look at how well that my orange works there. So that's definitely being confirmed. It's a bit risky above the moving average, but we've got nice strong selling, so maybe it'll be able to push through. Maybe it will support to create that cup. So look, dual algo setup between orange and magenta. We've broken out of orange. We've pushed back into orange. Potential breakdown, but obviously the moving average might be strong support. Going to protect here. Just protecting my trade. And we shall run it down in pink. So you can see the orange was tapered by Magenta. But the orange on this side fits perfect. See what happens as we run into Cyan. Just trailing it down in pink. Yeah, I might lose some unrealised, but if this ends up down here, how much more do I have to gain? I'm not saying that it will end up down here, that's an arbitrary sort of random yellow line. Could very well support Cyan here. Okay, I'll take some profits. Look at that. New 30-minute candle. Ooh, the volume coming in, it's supported. It's a good sign to take a trade off. Retested the underside of Cyan. Question is, will we break this low and carry on? Or will it support here? Cyan might be a good risk as well to trail down the last runner, because we could quite easily get continuation here, or some more continuation, or it could support. Not bad though. We got in. There. Sorry, let's say I got in there. And then the risk. I think it's the magnet messing it up. Risk was like that. We're on the this point now. Question is, will the pink hold? No, it hasn't. Okay. At this point, if he wasn't already out by Cyan, that's where I'd typically get out on the pink. Or if I wasn't already out on this high volume candle, I'd maybe risk Cyan and pink. So if it continues, it continues. This is the best way to get the most, or at least in my opinion, what I found to be the sort of best way to control the runners and trail them. bought up. Look at that for a trade. Question is, okay, let's delete those first. Could this be make up an handle to the long side? But what I'm not seeing is controlled selling in Cyan. We're coming down heavy. The buy-in's not all that strong. So we've got these two big green candles, but look at the volume. We'd need to see stronger buy-in to even think about this trade. So perhaps it will be more continuation to the downside. Look, Eric's orange isn't lining up too well. His magenta's not lining up too well. I'd say it's one of the days where I've got better lines than Eric. But they're still decent. Is you know, so you can make profits from them. Use them as a rough guide. Like I mentioned earlier, there's days where Eric will have better lines than I do. See, what I'm looking at is, for now, we're not in the green position. You know, this green's kind of off to the left from that wick. If we put it on this candle, we'd need to wait for the next one to open up and see if we respect the green position. So I'm going to pull up back into here. Be a nice continuation. But we're not getting that instant pull. So it's too risky for, in my opinion, to take this entry, even if we were to sell off. Eric's just mentioned that he's charted a pink. So let's see. He has it. Which one's he got it on? Because it's pink like this somewhere. He's got it like that. It's hard to say at the moment if they're the same or similar slopes. So let's take a copy of Eric's chart. No, that's his pink. See how well it fits. Two connection points there. I don't know, you might have a good pink, but it's not proven itself yet. Oh, there, look. That's nice. We'll see how it fares. Right, I'm probably going to stop the recording here and then just pick it back up a bit later on, just to compare the price action against the lines. You can see here, penny perfect on my Cyan. Penny perfect, penny perfect, penny perfect. So my Cyan slope is very nice. Magenta to the low. It's not quite penny perfect there. Look at the volume coming in. Well, let's see where this closes. Does it close below? Does it close above? Does that line up with something? Yeah, you see magenta to magenta. Let's put it back on the low. Okay, so we closed below magenta. What was that? Depends what this volume is. Is that just soaking up the sellers, or is it trying to price coming up here, trying to invite the buyers in to then hammer it short? Want to see what the next candles do, if they reclaim magenta or not. Anyway, I will stick to what I said and sort of cut it off here, and then come back later on to compare the price action and the lines, mine versus Eric's, and see where we are. The market has just closed. I took a second trade after the last recording when we had this. You see the long wick, the rejection. Okay, let's take the blue, because it was on blue. I had the blue on the long wick. I've got the dual algo set up with orange and magenta. Head and shoulders continuation. After the rejection from orange and magenta combination, we opened almost at the precision blue, maybe a cent or so out. So that's where I took my entry. The risk was slightly higher. No, it wasn't. It was there. It was on Cyan. Yeah, sorry. So I risked to the break of Cyan at that point, so which would have been and the entry candle. So it would have been there. Yep. Okay. The risks right. Earlier when I had this, when I entered, or I depicted this first trade, I had the profit a bit too far down compared to where I actually got out. So I've corrected that now. I trailed this down with pink. You see this candle that wicks above pink? That's where I cut the trade. I did not take this long. This is not something I like to do any longer, because it's like trying to catch a falling knife. You're going against the overall trend. So I didn't take this. There was a good long setup over here. Which is a part of the bigger picture I didn't take that one either because I wasn't around. I'm not even sure I would have taken it if I was around. You see how the yellow came in well? Both the negative and positive slope that we identified, along with the other lines, the core lines as I like to call them, pink, magenta, cyan and orange. Over on ES we also identified negative and positive yellow. They worked out well. So yeah, no adjustments on the lines. I've only ever had to do that once since beginning to use this method. And that's where I had a slight differentiation to how I was moving them across from ES to SPY. Instead of copying and pasting, I had them on my funded account on the browser, so I was charting in there, and I was just copying it across by the timestamps, but that's less reliable. Since using TradingView to create the lines and copying them across, I've not had to adjust them once. Doesn't mean to say that that day will not come, but for now, that's not happened. Everything's been penny perfect, worked out well. Look at the price section, buying up in magenta. Orange, absolutely perfect. Cyan, perfect. All of them were perfect. Eric's chart, now his lines, as always, work out typically well. Not as penny perfect, but they're still amazing lines, still really good. He's not adjusted the magenta, he's kept it the same. See the gap. Here it doesn't have any connection points, but still a really good magenta. Here works out quite well, it's a very small gap. Yeah, Eric's Cyan. How does that compare to mine? Yeah, there's a somewhat more sideways one, I believe. Yeah, because my Cyan comes down and connects these 2 points, whereas Eric's cuts through them, so his is a little bit more sideways. However, unless I'm mistaken, I still believe he comes up with the lines in a similar fashion to how I demonstrated earlier in this video. Let me know if you found this video useful. Comment below in Discord. Give me some feedback. DM me if I've got you on Discord. I had to turn off friend requests because I was receiving too many. But if you've already got me, and I don't mind you messaging me or just replying to the video in the channel. Okay guys, thank you for watching.